Welcome everyone to this explainer. I am so incredibly excited to be your guide today as we launch into an exploration of some of the most fascinating and honestly shadowy gaps in our official space narratives. Now, right up front, we are not here today to endorse these theories as absolute facts. Definitely not. Instead, we're going to look at the stories, the strange anomalies, and the deep-seated questions that just seem to thrive in the spaces humanity doesn't quite fully understand yet.
The universe is 13.8 billion years old, vast, ancient, and mostly invisible. And somewhere out there are answers to questions that keep scientists awake at night. Welcome to our channel, where we explore the darkest corners of the cosmos, the mysteries, the threats, the unknown. This is space like you've never seen it before.
I mean, really think about it for a second. Why do highly trained professional astronauts report seeing unexplained lights dancing outside their spacecraft? And what actually happens when an official space feed suddenly cuts to static during an absolutely crucial moment? Is it literally just a technical glitch? Or what if everything we've been told about space is just the tip of the iceberg? Those sorts of questions bring us to the very core theme of our explainer today, which is humanity's enduring distrust of the official narrative. You see, the universe is this impossibly vast, enigmatic place, and where there are gaps in our human knowledge, where the data gets blurry or the official records are classified, well, that's exactly where paranoia and conspiracy naturally thrive. So we're going to look at how these theories are born and why they are so incredibly hard to shake. Okay, let's dive into this. To make sense of this massive mystery box, we're going to group these theories into 5 main themes today. Number 1, faked missions and missing tapes. 2, alien artifacts and hollow moons. 3, secret fleets and orbital wars. 4, glitches in the cosmic matrix. And finally, number 5, why we want to believe. All right, Section 1, faked missions and missing tapes. Questioning Apollo. Let's start by breaking down the most famous space theory of them all, the Apollo 11 moon landing hoax. Pioneered by a former contractor named Bill Kaysing, this claim points to things like a waving flag in a vacuum, missing stars in the photos, and weird crisscrossing shadows. But when we look at the other side, the scientific reality offers very grounded explanations. The flag? It moves because of twisting momentum and low gravity. The stars are hidden by camera exposure settings adjusted for a super bright lunar surface. And those shadows are actually scattered by rough, highly reflective lunar soil. Furthermore, the official narrative points to the over 800 pounds of chemically distinct moon rocks brought back to Earth, which is a lot of rocks, along with laser retroreflectors left on the surface that scientists literally still use today. And yet, despite all of that, the hoax theory completely endures. And that deep distrust naturally extends to the very instruments we use to look at the stars. When the Hubble Space Telescope first launched with blurry mirrors, theorists immediately suggested it was deliberately altered to hide cosmic anomalies, pointing to missing keyhole shapes in early Orion Nebula shots. Today, the James Webb Space Telescope produces these amazingly clean images, which some skeptics argue is just the result of data being scrubbed to cover up things like alien megastructures. Because hey, if you spend $10 billion on a telescope, you definitely want to Photoshop out the aliens, right? But it does leave this lingering question in the minds of theorists about who actually controls the truth of what we see. Moving on to Section 2, alien artifacts and hollow moons. Are we alone? It turns out our own biology can actually play tricks on us in the vacuum of space. The main culprit here is pareidolia. That's the human tendency to see familiar shapes in completely random visual patterns. This is the exact psychological mechanism scientists use to explain things like the famous 1976 Viking 1 face on Mars or the so-called Mars rat spotted by the Curiosity rover. We are practically hardwired to look for faces in familiar objects. So when we look at a bunch of weathered rock on a distant, dusty planet, our brains can so easily trick us into seeing the remnants of lost civilizations. But what about the anomalies right in our own backyard? Consider the crazy data behind the hollow moon theory. During the Apollo missions, when discarded modules crashed into the moon, seismometers recorded it ringing like a bell for an entire hour. Add to that its unexpectedly low density, shockingly high concentrations of titanium, and a massive, unexplained metallic mass buried at the South Pole Aitken Basin. These bizarre data points led Soviet scientists Vosin and Sherbakov to propose a totally radical hypothesis back in the 70s that the moon could actually be an ancient artificial spacecraft. But sometimes these theories are way less about what's actually out there and a lot more about what we fear is coming. Take the rogue planet Nibiru, for example. Its predicted doomsday arrivals were famously scheduled for 2012, then, well, politely rescheduled to 2017, and then again to 2022. Every single time the apocalyptic collision fails to happen, the calendar just magically shifts. It kind of proves that the Nibiru narrative is really more about human anxiety and our innate attraction to cosmic finality than it is about actual verifiable astronomy. Which brings us to Section 3, Secret Fleets and Orbital Wars, Shadow Space Programs. When we look at the alleged Solar Warden program, we find this massive clash between wild claims and skeptical reality. Whistleblowers like Gary McKinnon and aerospace engineer William Tompkins have straight up alleged the existence of a shadow space fleet using reverse-engineered alien tech, kilometer-long ships, and even cooperation with a galactic federation. However, the skeptical reality counters this by pointing to misinterpreted military logistics, the testing of highly advanced but definitely earthly experimental drones, and a long legacy of Cold War damage control where governments deliberately obscured totally mundane aerospace projects behind intense layers of extreme secrecy. But here's the thing. We aren't just talking about blurry internet videos anymore. We're looking at professional, corroborated sightings. Take astronaut Gordon Cooper back in 1957 tracking a silent, metallic object, or the infamous 2017 Navy Tic Tac footage, where an object entirely defied known physics and was tracked on multiple advanced sensors. And in 2020, a Chilean Airbus crew tracked a glowing disk pacing their plane for 10 whole minutes. These kinds of events force governments into a really uncomfortable silence. Why? Because admitting these objects are real means conceding that they don't completely control their own skies. And it's not just pilots and whistleblowers challenging the official narrative anymore. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb posited a completely groundbreaking question about the bizarre interstellar object Oumuamua in 2017, when faced with an anomaly that inexplicably sped up without any visible outgassing and possessed this bizarre elongated shape. Loeb dared to ask if it was actually a piece of alien technology, maybe a light sail. It goes to show that when the data is strange enough, the line between mainstream science and fringe theory can get very, very thin. Let's zoom way out now for Section 4, Cosmic Matrix Glitches. Is reality simulated? The cosmic microwave background, or CMB, is basically the afterglow of the Big Bang. It's the oldest radiation map of our universe. But theorists have spotted some serious anomalies in it. They found strange temperature alignments, which they've dubbed the axis of evil, bizarre geometric symmetries, and even repeating hexagon patterns. For fringe theorists, these aren't just random statistical noise. They're actively searching these patterns for hidden messages, literally looking for a potential pre-Big Bang source code written right into the fabric of the sky. This leads us directly down the rabbit hole of simulation theory. As Elon Musk has pointed out, if computing power just continues to grow exponentially, the creation of hyper-realistic simulations is practically inevitable. If that's true, the statistical odds that we are currently living in the one base reality are incredibly slim. So, are we just living inside lines of code? What's wild is that simulation theorists actually map our physical reality directly onto computer science. Take quantum physics, specifically the famous double-slit experiment, where particles exist in multiple states and only take a definite form when they are actually observed. Theorists compare this directly to video game rendering, where a game engine only loads high-resolution details when the player looks in that direction just to save processing power. It's a totally fascinating lens that literally turns the quirks of quantum mechanics into optimization shortcuts for some giant cosmic server. Finally, we reach Section 5, Why We Want to Believe, the Psychology of Myths. It all really starts with a cognitive gap known as the illusion of explanatory depth. Basically, this is the false belief that we understand complex systems far better than we actually do. This is exactly why someone might confidently dissect the intricate engineering of a lunar lander or orbital mechanics based purely on a single grainy photograph. It's this weird psychological quirk that allows us to transform our ignorance into absolute certainty, making these theories incredibly resilient to actual facts. Ultimately, whether we're dealing with rumors of lost cosmonauts or the idea of a simulated universe, these myths thrive in the spaces we just have yet to fully understand. They persist because they reflect our deepest hopes, our most primal fears, and a truly profound longing to know that we are not alone in this massive, silent void. And that brings us to the end of our explainer today. We've journeyed from the dusty surface of the moon all the way to the very edges of simulated reality. The universe is undeniably stranger than we can possibly imagine, and curiosity is for sure our greatest tool. So the very next time you look up at the night sky, I want you to ask yourself, amidst all the myths, the cover-ups, and the anomalies, what if just one of these is actually true? Thank you so much for exploring with me today, and keep questioning the cosmos.
The universe doesn't care about us. It never did. But we care about it. And that is what makes us extraordinary. If this video made you think, hit like, share it, and subscribe to this channel. Because the next mystery is even deeper. Until then, stay curious and keep looking up.